Hi, today I'm here with another tips and tricks video. So what we're doing is we're going to be still solving linear equations, but I'm going to give you a hint because I always ask people, who here loves fractions? And most people go, fractions, blah. So my hint is, let's get rid of them in the first step. And I have a magic trick. And what it is you need to multiply both sides of the equation, in other words, every single thing in the equation, by the lowest common denominator or the least common multiple. Those are the same thing. What that is, it's the smallest number that all the denominators go into. So one of my hints is to put this 3 with a denominator of 1 to remind you that this actually is a fraction even though that 1 is invisible. So the smallest number that 9, 3, and 1 go into is 9. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to multiply this by 9, and I'm actually going to put 9 over 1. That's another hint. Then I'm going to multiply this times 9 over 1, and then I'm going to multiply this times 9 over 1, because we start out with a bunch of fractions. So what happens here is all the denominators, poof, will go away because they go in evenly to this common denominator of 9. So 9 goes into 9 evenly, and we're just left with 5x. Here, I'm going to remember first thing to put that negative sign now so I don't forget. And the 3 goes into 9 3 times, so it'd be minus 3. And then these nothing cancels out here, but the 3 multiplies the 9, and we get 27. This is a very simple problem because all we need to do is add the 3 to both sides. Again, I write it down. So those go away. So we get 5x equals 30. Last step is always dividing. Divide by 5 and we get x equals 6. Circle our answer. So that's my first example. That was fast. Okay, I have a new example here. This is very similar to the first example, but I always think it's good to see things twice. So again, remember my first hint was to make everything into a fraction. One of the common mistakes is to think that 7 and 5 are fractions, so you don't need to clear those, but you need to be fair to everything. So I look at the 5, the 1, the 3, and the 1 to find the smallest thing that they go into. Now 3 doesn't go into 5, so I start counting by 5s. Does 5 go into 10? Does 3 go into 10? No. Does 3 go into 15? Yes. So that's our common denominator. And so we're going to multiply everything times 15 over 1, times 15 over 1, times 15 over 1, and times 15 over 1. So this 5 goes into the 15 3 times. So now we have 3 times x left. So this is just 3x with no denominator. 7 times 15 is 105, I believe. And then this 3 goes into 15 5 times. So we get 5x, and then we have 5 times 15, and there's a minus, and that's 75. So again, something I talked about in another video, you have a choice of moving the 3x or the 5x. We always move the smaller one. So this is minus 3x on both sides. So these go away. These turn into 2x. Notice the positive coefficient because we moved the smaller variable. We have negative 105 and minus 75. So now we just need to solve for x, which means we add 75 to both sides. And this negative number is bigger, so we get negative 30 equals 2x. Last step is to divide by 2. So we get x equals negative 15. All right. One more example. I'm back. So here's my last example, and the reason I have this example here is because this kind of looks like you would have to multiply the 3 and the x minus 5 times the common denominator, but this is one term, so you only multiply it once. So we look at this is one term, this is one term, we look at the denominators. The smallest thing that 2 and 3 go into is 6. So we are going to multiply both sides by 6, and I can do 6 over 1 if that helps clarify what you're doing. So the 2 goes into the 6 and leaves a 3. We don't need to put the 2 into this because these are all factors. So this is going to end up being 9, because you have 3 times 3 times x minus 5. And then this 3 goes into this 6 and leaves 2. So the 2 times 2 is going to be 4 times x plus 5. So now we do the distributing. So we have 9x minus 45, because we have to make sure we get both terms, equals 4x plus 20. Again, we move the smaller variable, which is minus 4x, minus 4x. So this is going to be 5x, and always write the whole sentence down, minus 45 equals, and these go away, 20. We're going to add 45 plus 45. So we get 5x, I'm going to come up over here, 5x equals 65. So then our last step, as usual, is to divide by 5. So we have x equals 13 as a final answer. But the main thing here is this fraction bar and this fact that these are multiplied. That's just one term, so you just clear one of those numbers. I hope that helps. Don't love fractions. Let's get rid of them always in the first step, and it turns into a much simpler equation. Have a great day. Bye.